Now, what is this future of higher education? That is the key question. And the man tasked with the responsibility of illuminating us is the CEO and Chief Innovation Designer and President of Tech Adaptica. He's also the executive consultant for Stanford University. He's the founder of VC-BootCamp in Silicon Valley, Toronto, Paris, and Johannesburg. With, by the way, a focus of 22 being on the African continent. He's on a quest to build a global virtual community of lifelong learners. Please welcome to the stage, Hosni Zoali.
We leave you tonight with a reminder that a hand up is always better than a hand out. In this case, the hand belongs to Toronto teacher Hosni Zoali, who's reaching out to enrich the lives of some of the poorest children on the planet. Zaouali had a vision to create a virtual school for kids in Somalia. As CTV's Seamus O'Regan reports, he had all the right connections to make it work.
When Toronto schoolteacher Hosni Zaouali was traveling in Eastern Africa, he was shocked by what he saw.
The UN claimed that Somalia was, I quote, hell on earth for kids from 0 to 12 years old.
Famine, terrorism, piracy. The children of this war-torn nation have few opportunities and lack the most basic of necessities, with one surprising exception.
Sometimes there are no fridge, but they have internet. And internet, surprisingly, is quite good.
Thanks.
I will stop there because we all know the story, but I just wanted to get back to what Ms. Babalwa Ngoyama was saying. 700,000 unemployed graduates. It is true, we have our problems also in other parts of Africa, Europe, North America, but here at least, you have the courage to look at our imperfections in the eyes. And that, I salute. This is the beginning of a new era, as you said, and thanks to this acknowledgement, we can move forward. So thank you so much. Another round of applause, please, for our predecessor. My name is Hosni Zaouali. I'll tell you a little bit more about me and why I'm here. But before that, I want to let you know that I started my, my journey as a refugee from North Africa to was supposed to be Italy, but we apparently ended up in France. At 18 years old, I became a French citizen, but either way, I had a massive identity crisis. Why? Because I was raised in a Muslim family, in a Catholic country, France, very Catholic, and at 7 years old, I learned how to speak French, and eventually I caught up. When I became a young adult, I went to a small little island in the south of France. The island had nothing except a monastery. And with my tent, literally, not, my tent, I spent 2 nights there. Eventually, I got inside of this monastery, and it was a beautiful scene because there was a little room, a table, 2 chairs, and the window, there was like a light of, the sun ray going through the window. It was a beautiful scene. And I was really troubled about the state of the world. So I sat down, and then there's a monk who showed up. I right away understood that the monk was from Italy, because we were in south of France, and he had a thick Italian accent. And he tells me, "Qu'est-ce que je peux faire pour vous, mon fils? What can I do for you, my son?" And then I start like this verbal diarrhea. I'm like, look at Rwanda, it was at the time of Rwanda, look at what's happening with the Hutus and the Tutsis, the Palestinians, and in Jerusalem, the Israelis, I go like crazy. He listens to me for 15, 20 minutes, but he doesn't listen to me like some of you are listening to me right now, going on your computers. He really, truly looks at my eyes and tries to dig into my soul. And when I stopped talking, he says, my son, a tree that falls will always make more noise than a forest that grows. And he stands up and he leaves. And at that time, I was like 17 years old. I was like, where are you going? It's just like, you're going to leave me with a sentence. It's only like after perhaps 24 hours wandering around this monastery that it hits me. It's true. A tree that falls makes more noise than a forest that grows. we can either focus on the tree that falls or be part of this forest that grows. This completely shattered my life. I was a violent kid, and all of a sudden, I decided to become part of this forest. This is where I started my education journey. And this education journey was so weird, like very weird. Out of all the tech gurus out there, whether it's in the Silicon Valley or North America, not a lot of them taught kindergarten, grade 5, grade 6, university, youth that are straight out of jail. So having done all that, it helped me to dig deeper into the emotional aspect of the learner. That gives me a little bit of a different perspective when it comes to tech and education. So we're going to dig deep into it. Please help me make this little presentation fun. And then I promise you, every one of us will go grab a coffee. How about that? Hey, by the way, I flew from Toronto. Why the hell am I wearing a jacket? I'm in Africa. Anyhow, some of you are old enough to remember a chess player called Kasparov. Please raise your hand if you know Kasparov. Kasparov, he's best known as someone who beat actually a lot of computers, and he was like the best chess player. Except one day, IBM, after 20 years of development, 20 years, mark that, 20 years of development, they developed what we call Deep Blue. Does anyone remember Deep Blue? Yes, Deep Blue was a computer system trained to play chess, all right, after 20 years. It was the first time where a machine beat a human in a complicated game called chess. That was fun. Yeah, that was cute. Until 2014, Google showed up with an algorithm, a mathematical algorithm that didn't know how to play chess. It learned how to play chess. It was programmed to go on the web and learn about chess, the story of chess, the rules, the images, and took everything that was on the web and tried to digest it. So Deep Blue, 20 years, this algorithm doesn't know how to play chess. We said enter, and it went on the web and learned how to play chess. And then we made Deep Blue, well, the new version of Deep Blue called Stockfish, which is a way more advanced than Deep Blue. At this point, IBM is killing it, all right? And we made this little algorithm from Google play against Stockfish, the best computer program ever produced for chess. Out of 100 games, this algorithm that didn't know how to play chess won 86 games. The rest, it was a tie game. Decades of programming, of development from Deep Blue and Stockfish couldn't stand a chance against an AI algorithm, a deep learning algorithm. I just want to make you understand how artificial intelligence is extremely disruptive. Now, here's a question for you guys. I contacted my friends from Google, and I was like, hey guys, this little algorithm that you started in 2014, when you pressed enter, how long did it took to learn all about chess and then play against Stockfish and destroy them 86 games out of 100? 4 years? Nope. Months? Nope. Days? Nope. 4 hours. 4 hours. This algorithm didn't know what chess was, went on the web, learned the chess, and became the best player of chess ever created. The human capacity to play chess at this point is so far behind. This is the era we're getting in. So now this is very scary, right? Because we have these science fiction movies in our head where artificial intelligence is taken over. There's a bright side of it, okay? Oh, there was actually an animation. Look at that. All right, a new world is coming. The question is, will we be in it? That's really what it comes down to. Whether it's about artificial intelligence or metaverse, let's see where we're going here. No, I'm not going to scare you with that. Let's go back to the basics. This is how humans learn. They learn through 3 ways, very simply. The first one is look at the stars or read a book by myself, figuring it out. Cool. That's what we call observation. The second is communication. I go and talk to the wise man or the wise woman in the village, one-on-one, and I learn. That's great. The third is collaboration. We're building a house together, and the plumber will learn from the electrician, and the electrician will learn from whoever knows how to build a house, please let me know, but I don't know. This collaboration thing, where we all work together and learn and figure things out and learning from each other, this collaborative learning, does not exist online. That's the biggest problem of education today. Online education is becoming bigger and bigger, yet it is extremely hard to put people together online and learn from each other. Why? Because when I'm on Zoom teaching my students, I'm actually not speaking with them, I'm talking at them. You know, half of them have their camera off, washing dishes or doing whatever they're doing. It's true, they're all laughing, and the others are just lying down in bed. There's no way I can make them work with each other. They can try to text each other through WhatsApp or whatever, but it's extremely hard online to create this collaborative learning. And this is the big problem with online education. But there are solutions. And we came up with solutions. So before we go here, we talked a little bit about education and the problem that we have, and we talked a little bit about artificial intelligence and metaverse. Do you know the answer of this question? How many people will lose their jobs by 2030? Everybody's like, oh my God, I need to work on my resume. Don't worry, there's a bright side to everything I'm saying, I promise you. According to McKinsey, it's 600 million to 800 million people all over the planet that will lose their jobs. Now people are getting tense. They're like, oh, you know, don't worry. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to be unemployed. It means that we're simply going to have to retrain ourselves. And this is where education becomes extremely interesting and important. The majority of students in the next decade are not going to be kids. Perhaps in Africa it's a different thing because 41% of the population here is under the age of 15. But in North America, Europe, even Asia, the majority of students will actually be adults who need to be retrained. I consult for Stanford at the executive education department, and we train executives. We started with the smallest program at Stanford to now the biggest program at Stanford. I'm not the right person to talk about it, but I can tell you that executive education and adult learning will become increasingly big in the years to come. The good news is, it's financially viable, very financially viable and operationally viable. We'll dig into that in the breakout session this afternoon. Online education, we're talking about loneliness. You know, I'm lonely during COVID, I'm learning by myself. Yes, but the metaverse represents $800 billion by 2024. Yeah, but you know what, online education, it's disengaging, it's not really engaging. By 2031, this metaverse, the new world, will be generating $30 trillion. Yeah, but now we have Zoom fatigue during COVID-19. Yes, I understand. I understand that it's not easy, but believe me, the internet is changing as much as the world is changing. We are moving from a 2D static page to a 3D virtual world. That's not the metaverse. That's the internet. What we call metaverse, I'm going to tell you why now we call it metaverse. September last year, exactly 1 year back. I don't know if you remember, guys, but worldwide, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, their servers shut down completely. Do you remember that? That was last September. I remember I was in Tunisia. I was freaking out. Well, not only me, a lot of people around the world. We're talking about 3 billion accounts. It just shut down. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. They're all owned by Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. their stock went down. It was an absolute PR disaster. What Mark has decided to do then, he said, hey, you know what, we're going to flood the market with a new idea, this metaverse, totally prematurely. It was so premature. Nobody was ready for this metaverse, but he needed to flood the news with a new thing so that people can forget about his server crash. He came up with the metaverse. We are actually changing our names from Facebook to Meta. Nobody was ready for this. On the other hand, we were working on the metaverse for the past 7 years. And all my friends were like, oh, that's a cute video game you're creating. And I'm like, dude, it's not a video game. All right, COVID-19 hits hard. And everybody's like, oh, your video game for learning is going to be really nice. I'm like, I told you, it's not a video game. Well, what's your problem? And then Facebook changed its name to Metaverse or Meta. And everybody's like, oh, that's what you're doing. So this is where it becomes really interesting to know that
we're happy to have you here.
Thank you. This is very exciting.
Here's Moise talking to a client. Let's say hi to him.
Oh, hey, Josh. I was just telling Ms. Shitsuke here about the services provided by Tech Adaptica.
that's why the internet is moving from a 2D to a 3D
glad to be
world.
Here and excited to share with you.
What did I say was the biggest problem of online education? Collaborative learning. Absolutely, collaboration. This here allows you literally, if I was in the metaverse right now with my avatar, I would literally able to be clicking on every one of you and trying to see who you are, what you're looking for, why you're here for, and what you have to offer. If it's interesting to me, I'm simply gonna walk with my avatar and say, hi, I just read that you're looking for this and looking for that. By multiplying these spontaneous human interactions, you create a hell lot of value. Not only brain value, but also economic value. Making people meet. As opposed to right now, if I want to know any one of you, I'm going to have to introduce myself, getting to know you, hear about this, hear about that. Maybe there's a fit, there's no fit. In this metaverse, combined with blockchain and artificial intelligence, I will know right away who I need to interact with and who I don't need to interact with, depending on what I'm looking for and what I have to offer. Does it make sense? All right, let's move on. Hey guys, I understand that this could be a little bit scary, but remember, this was online shopping. I tried to explain to my mom, a North African illiterate lady with a lot of courage, a big heart, what was online shopping. And imagine, it's a lady that doesn't have a credit card. It was extremely hard for her to understand what online shopping was in 2005. Nevertheless, you know, years later, she buys on Amazon. My point is, it's extremely hard to understand how artificial intelligence and the metaverse are going to impact us. But make no mistakes, we are all going to be in it. Why? It's simple. Half of your students are playing Roblox, the other half are playing Fortnite, and they're all playing video games. When I'm going to go to my son and tell him, hey, send me an email about what you need, he's going to be like, what's an email? And it's happening fast. These kids are 10 years old right now. In 10 years, they will be our employees. Or our employers. That's where it gets a little tricky, right? My point is, what is your best R&D when it comes to education of the future? Look at your kids. Watch your kids. That's our best R&D. When we started Adaptica, which is the metaverse for education, we had two choices. Either go to incubators, downtown San Francisco or downtown Toronto, or we had an idea that was like absolutely crazy. We said we're going to go to a very poor neighborhood, downtown Toronto, that has two things. Lots of refugees and a homeless shelter across the street. And to be quite honest, everybody thought we were crazy. But remember, foolishness is the trade-off for genius. I repeat, foolishness is the trade-off for genius. Every recess, we made these kids, elementary school, go up, we sign a deal with the school, to go up and test our technology. Every single recess. After school hours, in exchange of a meal, we asked the homeless shelter to send us homeless people to try our technology, and we made some incremental changes over 4 years. Why the hell did we do that? Well, it's simple. If you want to create a product or a service to the masses, you need to design it for two populations. Students who don't know how to read, and adults with physical and mental exceptionalities. I will tell you why in a bit. So that's what I said. Your kids, 200 million people interact on Fortnite, 45 million of kids on Roblox daily, and in 10 years, these kids will be your employees or your employers. Does any one of you, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, all right? But if you don't know what Roblox or Fortnite is, it means that you don't have a child, but if you don't have a child, please check it out. It is ugly as hell. However, it is the future. So the first one is do not judge. So when we build these virtual campuses for universities and companies, we make sure that our clients understand few things. The first one is do not judge the value of a metaverse by its look. Fortnite, not very realistic. Roblox, even worse. Nevertheless, millions of kids are playing in it. Not playing, excuse me. They're buying from each other. They're building things together. They are literally interacting. Huge. Roblox, do you know what is the biggest PR issue they have? By the way, this is a company that's been acquired at $31 billion in March 2021. This is just the early days of the metaverse. Do you know what is the biggest PR problem? Child labor. What the hell? Child labor? Yeah, child labor. They don't have a lot of employees. All these kids are building these worlds. All these kids are building this, and they're getting rewarded with tokens, tokenomics. They're literally building the video game for the company. But they love to do it, and they're making money out of it. This is a new world. I told you. I hope I'm not scaring the hell out of you guys.
Teachers, right? Usually the forgotten piece of this education puzzle. Now, things like virtual classrooms, one feels could render many jobless. How do they hope to benefit from this? Because it feels like an opportunity cost.
First of all, I have to tell you right now, teachers are the real heroes of this COVID crisis. Think about it. They have been underfinanced, under-resourced, and under-trained, and they've been thrown into this crisis, telling them, here's a computer. Sometimes we didn't even give them a computer. We told them, go ahead and just do a miracle with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students. To me, big, big respect to all the teachers out there. You've gone through hell, and we are with you. The school administrators, on the other hand, they need to really train them, give them more resources, and get them up to speed. But again, your question, Arnold, is quite on point. When we think about education, or when we talk about education, we need to stop thinking about kids going to school. That's not the reality anymore. By 2030, 600 to 800 million people will lose their jobs. That doesn't mean that they will be completely jobless. It just means that they will have to be retrained for new jobs that we don't even know yet.
I will stop that here. I will stop that because during this interview with CNBC Africa, I said something, and I don't know if I can say it. I will probably know. I said it on TV. I said, go watch it if you want to. But it was about investment in ed tech. The problem is that, and I know that because I work in the Silicon Valley and I created the VC-BootCamp. By VC, doesn't mean vice chancellor, it means venture capital, venture capitalists. And The biggest problem is that the market doesn't reward EdTech as it should. Why? Because a venture capitalist is here to invest money and knock on your door in 3 months, knock on your door in 6 months and a year and tell you, where is my money? Where in education, you need to invest in a long periods of time, a lot of money, but this is really where the value is. This is really an untapped market when it comes to business that is insane. Any university who would build its own metaverse and start selling its technology will be extremely financially viable. Just as an example, everybody talks about the Harvard and the Stanfords of this world. Google has been created at Stanford as a PhD, you know, it's a PhD program, basically, you know, not even a program, but it's a thesis. When Google went public many, many, many years ago, Stanford had shares. They got paid $336 million just by selling their shares. My point is, universities have a huge, huge competence and potential in these kind of innovations, and we see more and more universities all over the world. University of Toronto is an example, where they're like, hey, we give you a little bit of space, we give you a little bit of testing ground, but we take 10% of your technology. 9 of them will fail, 1 of them will work, that's all we need. So what are the skills of tomorrow? I come up with this idea, and I know that a lot of teachers hate it, but I say we don't train students to run faster than cars. We don't, right? You know, in physical education, we don't tell them, all right, there's a car, let's go run. So why are we training them to think faster than computers? This sounds absurd, but it is what we do on a daily basis, whether it's North America, Europe, Asia, or even Africa. To be quite honest, I don't use pens anymore. I just use a computer. I don't know why my 8-year-old is still, you know, writing cursive 6 hours a day. I don't get it. I really don't. We need to train kids to whatever a computer cannot do. Do you remember that AlphaZero, Google AlphaZero? Do you want to compete with that? Forget about it. You can't compete with that. The computer will do that job. It's usually a job that is kind of boring and annoying and very repetitive. It creates a lot of value for humans to do something else, something better use of your time. So we need to train our kids to work on whatever a computer cannot do. Adaptation, change, failure, those will be the skills of tomorrow. It's true. There's no way around it. Now, my biggest problem, and I'm talking mostly about Europe and Canada and USA in this case, is that there's a massive paradox. Of course, when the educational system that is supposed to train our students to handle change itself is not able to change fast enough. That's a massive problem. Even at big universities. Harvard, oh yeah, go do entrepreneurship, this is amazing, you know, try everything. But hold on a second, do not touch the curriculum. Just like, what? You know, oh no, the curriculum has been set up in 1973, nobody touches it. I'm like, what? Yeah, true story. So these are few fundamentals when it comes to the future of education, especially in the metaverse. When we have these virtual campuses, you need to imagine it this way. A lot of students from everywhere in the world will be interacting with South African students. They will learn from each other. They will create businesses together. So, first of all, you can't improve what you don't measure. It's very, very true, huh? We can't improve what we don't measure, and this is where artificial intelligence and computing power can help us understand how students learn. All these multiple intelligences, believe me, leave that to the computer. They will know better, they have a better memory, they don't forget anything, they don't make errors. Tech companies know more about students than teachers. Yes, absolutely. I might be shocking some of you, right here, but guess what? My son uses an iPad since he was 2 years old. I know, iPads are bad, but believe me, I didn't find any better nanny so far. You know? Everybody's laughing because anyone who has a kid knows. You know? It's really freaking dopamine-driven kind of thing where you take it away from him and he loses it like a crack addict. You know, it's like, oh, give it to me now. It's pretty crazy. But nevertheless, an iPad, when they watch all these videos on YouTube, whether it's Peppa Pig or Paw Patrol or all that stuff, YouTube is actually analyzing them. It's a known fact. I mean, I have friends who work at YouTube. It's owned by Google. They're analyzing this kid. Okay, brace yourself, here it's coming. I can tell you 100% that YouTube will know before me if my son is gay or not. That's the truth. Let's wake up. They know our kids better than we know them. The best thing we could do for our kids right now is to teach them how to know themselves so that we prevent them from being controlled by these tech giants, beyond what the government can do. But it's true, that's the way it is. And by the way, your phones know you probably better than you know yourself either. You have all these biases. 80% of your decisions to buy something, it's subconscious. It's controlled by your subconscious processor. Well, your phone knows why you're buying it, because in 2003, you posted that photo with the blue shirt like this, and it was a really good day for you. So you think, you know, blue is actually your color. I don't know it, but Facebook knows it. To stay relevant, public education institutions will have to partner with edtech companies. Yeah, it's for sure. Like, there's no other way around. You have to partner with edtech companies. You have to. They do a lot of things way faster, way better, and that's the way it is. Now, imagine, this is the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, it's when Google starts creating its own university. Oh, sorry, they already did. It's when YouTube starts creating their own university. It's when PwC creates their own university. First, internal employees, but then they open it to the world. Think about it. How are we going to compete with companies that tell you, hey, you come to Google University for 3 years or even 2 years, I give you a job, you paid $100,000 at this job. We need to partner with them. There's no other way around. Local versus international universities. This is a very important point, okay? In the near future, I can guarantee you that there will be 2 types of universities. We can organize them into 2 types. The ones that are local, they're going to be shrinking and become more and more local, and the ones that are going to be super international. Thanks to what? The Metaverse. Let's put it this way. When you think about universities in the Silicon Valley or in France or anywhere else, they have 2 choices. Either they embark on technology and offer virtual campuses, like Metaverse type. And now I am the University of Paris, and I offer on-site, but also online, through my virtual campus, where all my students from Nigeria, from Tunisia, from USA can walk the streets of Paris and go to school with their avatar. High-five a total stranger, etc., while staying in their home country. They will not only offer the possibility for you to learn, but also to interact with French students, with international students. They will tell you, out of a 3-year degree or a 2-year degree, we're going to do 1 on-site and 1 in our virtual campus. What does it mean? Financially viable, like in terms of financial viability? I can multiply the number of seats in my university by 2. This is the difference between a university that has 30,000 students and 60,000 students. By the way, they will all pay the same price. Because 1 year is going to be online, 1 year is going to be on site. But the online, it's not going to be learning by myself. It's going to be learning in the metaverse. Building things with everybody. I've done it. I've tried it and I've done it. But now remember, when we started this program, with Stanford University called the LEAD program, it was an online executive program. Executives came from 68 countries, a lot of them from Africa, as a matter of fact. And I had the Wall Street Journal interviewing me about this program. It was back in the days. And I give them my speech for half an hour, how virtual campuses are great, etc., etc. And at the end, I tell them, and in total honesty, I tell them, but nothing will beat the handshake. Nothing will beat the real handshake. I go to school on Monday, my boss calls me, she takes the newspaper, and she says, "What the hell?" They put it almost in the title, "Nothing beats the handshake." We told you to talk about an online program, and you say nothing beats the handshake? You're shooting us, in the back here. But Stanford, being Stanford, super open-minded, we sat down and we actually talked about it. And it's true. You can make people work online, study online, collaborate online. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to make them come to Cape Town. To Cape Town University, you have to make them come here, meet with their peers, that they only met avatars until now. And that will be the cement of their relations. So make no mistakes, online is cool, but nothing will beat the handshake. And last but not least, please, how much time do I have still? Because I have no track of time here. 6 minutes, all right. Success and 99% failure. Remember what I said about, innovation and the fact that foolishness is the trade-off of genius? We have to be okay with failure, which is an extremely hard thing to do for a public institution like a university. Extremely hard. Why? Because it's, public money. We can't really throw it, in just like things that don't work. Nevertheless, we have to. We have to try to do that as much as possible, because otherwise there's no way we're going to be innovative. And the secret is rooted in empathy. Do you remember what I told you guys about the reason why we went to that poor neighborhood with a homeless shelter and students and kids from Syria, Jamaica, and refugee kids? Well, I'm going to tell you why it was so important. I said it earlier, and I will finish with that. The best way to design a program, a service, or a product to the masses, it's actually to design it for two populations: kids who don't know how to read, and students with, or adults with physical and mental exceptionalities. We say exceptionalities because it's not proper to say handicaps. And as I said earlier, we went to this school where we had all these kids. Every recess, they come and test our technology, and we make incremental changes. But also after school hours, we had all these homeless people. We bring them in exchange of a soup, and they try our technology, and we change things. This is a phone, and this is a potato peeler. Do you think these two things have been done or have been created for us? Absolutely not. A potato peeler was created for people with fine motoricity issues. They couldn't hold a regular knife and peel a potato. It was so hard. So someone looked at that and designed a potato peeler. Now, every single one of you uses a potato peeler. And if not, please go buy a potato peeler, for God's sake. What are you doing? It's just like, we don't have time. We need to cut this potato. This is a phone. Texting. If you think that texting was created for you and me, it's not true. Texting was created for people who can't hear properly. So we created a way for them to exchange or to communicate without using their ears. Now, for those of you who have teenagers, have you ever tried to call them? They always send you a text message. Let's go back to the basics. If you want to design a program, a service, or a product to the masses, you need to design it for two types of people: students who don't know how to read, and adults with physical and mental exceptionalities. Even those ramps, those ramps that are instead of chairs, they used to be done for people in wheelchairs. Now they are used by Amazon, the delivery guys, they're used by the post office, etc. So there are many, many examples of that. Well, my name is Hosni Zaouali, or you can call me Hos, and now you can go get a coffee.